Shalom Aleichem, Boker Tov, everyone. Welcome to another Jewish morning meditation. I am David Eli Grunland. I'm actually going to continue with what we were talking about yesterday, the idea of Talmud Torah. And I entitled this Learning to Find Clarity. And there's two meanings in that statement. One is we have to learn in our lives how to find clarity, simply. The second way is to say learning to find clarity. What's the reason that we learn? It's to find clarity, right? On the one hand, what's the goal? Is my goal the learning, and that will help me achieve clarity? Or is my goal the clarity, and I have to learn how to get there? This is actually a good segue to what we'll be doing tomorrow, but let's stick with today. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov talks a lot about Halacha, about Jewish law. Now, it's interesting, one of my favorite things, that the word for Jewish law is halacha, and that doesn't make sense. The word for law is mishpat, right, which means legal, like a legal judgment, or it should be din, judgment. But when we talk about Judaism, it's not about a bottom line. It's about a process that we call halacha. Halacha is from the word to walk, to go. It's the way we go through the world, is halacha. And Jewish law is about achieving this clarity as we go through the world. That's the whole thing. And it's an amazing thing that halacha doesn't ever have one opinion. Almost never. If we look even at the breakdown of quote-unquote widely accepted Jewish books that really were accepted by the whole of the Jewish people, that everyone looks to as a real source of halachic learning, and not just halachic learning, but halachic guidance, we start with the Mishnah. And the Mishnah, compiled by Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi in around 220 of the Common Era, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi would state, here's a situation, and then he would list, according to this rabbi, this is what you do, according to that rabbi, that's what you do, and according to this third rabbi, that's what you do. And that's how he would do it. He would bring a number of different opinions. Then the Gemara came after that, and our sages looked at the opinions in the Mishnah, and they said, well, what's the difference between these opinions? Why are there different opinions? And there are about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different opinions about each one of those different opinions and why that's their opinion and what the context is, and are they the same, are they different? Some things we accept and other things are flat out rejected. We say, no, that's not what Judaism will believe, but we still record the opinion. And then after that, we have some sages who tried to really codify halacha, one of which was the Rambam, Maimonides. And in Maimonides' work, called the Mishnah Torah, or the Yad Chazaka, those are two acronyms, either the strong hand or essentially the repetition or the learning of Torah. He says, here's a situation, here's what you do. He tries to make halacha uniform. And as much as we look to Maimonides and this amazing work as brilliant sources of wisdom and guidance, the halachas presented in the Mishnah Torah is not widely accepted by the Maimonites. Yemenite Jews really hold tightly to it, but most Jews look at it as this is a great source of wisdom and insight, and let's try to learn and understand Maimonides' opinion. But we don't take the bottom line halacha from the Mishnah Torah because he only brings one opinion. A few hundred years later, the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch, the set table of Rabbi Moshe Yosef Karo, came to fruition, where he said, here is a situation, and here are a few different ideas of what we do, and there's even this other opinion that says do like that. And then Rabbi Moshe Isserlis, the great Ashkenazi sage came and said, well, in our communities we do like this, and in some other communities they do like that, and he brought another depth of opinions to it. And we generally accept that as, for now at least, the last foundational work of Jewish law, and now with many additional codes and everything like that. So when we look at halacha, the first thing we have to notice is that there are many different approaches to it. I think that's such an important thing, because in our own lives, in any given moment, as I'm striving to achieve clarity, I need to look at my own situation and recognize there are many different ways that I could approach every situation. There is never, I don't have another choice. My only choice is. That's never a thing. There's never the only choice. Our goal in life, as we try to achieve clarity, the goal of Talmud Torah, of really Torah learning, is the idea of making berur, of clarifying what approach I should take in a given moment. Yet truly our clarity comes when we sit and we analyze our situation. That when I can say, let me learn about my situation. Let me learn how I got here. Let me learn all the factors. Let me learn about the goals. Let me understand the real context in which I'm learning. And by learning, by understanding, by recognizing the different possible approaches and what their potential outcomes may be, I can achieve a clarity within my current situation. It's that learning about the situation that truly brings me to that state of clarity, where I take an approach, I take a step. Now, does that mean I'm going to necessarily be happy with the result? Maybe not. But if I analyze it and I come to a logical conclusion, what I can honestly say is, this is the path that I chose to take. And with clarity, I can say, and this was a reasonable path to take. And within that path, I can have clarity. And so if I don't like essentially what the next step ultimately becomes, so I now need to analyze that next step in the same way. Have clarity in that next step. Use my halacha. Use my path in the world to recognize that in my own life, I'm bringing some clarity into this world. And the more time that I take to learn about it, the more time that I take to learn about halacha, and to really understand differing opinions, the more I can look at my own life and I can understand different approaches, and the greater clarity I will have as I go through the world, right? Talmud Torah, en la shiur. There's no measure to the amount of Torah study that's available, the amount of study opportunity that I have. There's no measure to it. And I need to always be engaged in this process, because the more we engage in that process and the more we meditate on the possibilities available within our own lives and within our own experiences, truly the greater depth of learning we will achieve and the greater clarity we will have. Have a wonderful day. May we all be blessed that it be full of clarity and achievement and going on our own paths. Amen. Have a wonderful day. If you like this, give it a like, give it a share. Send me a comment with your thoughts. Let me know that you're watching. And I will see you, Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow. Shalom.